Monique.
Hello, Miss Bertha.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. So, we're just taking a little time with you just to find out what you do. Can you give me your background?
So, in the community, I run a non-for-profit called Daughter to Daughter. I'm also a credentialed chaplain.
Okay.
And I work in the communities with youth that are at risk, as society calls them, just providing mentoring, life skills training, tutoring,
Okay.
anything that they need, basically.
Beautiful.
The communities in which I serve are predominantly African American. We do have Hispanic families as well as Caucasian families that live in the communities. And we just provide services for the youth. After school, we provide mentoring, tutoring. A lot of the kids struggle with the online applications like iReady and things like that. So we help them after school to get those assignments done.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So, Daughter to Daughter, what inspired you to establish Daughter to Daughter?
Well, a long time ago, 1997, to date myself, I started Daughter to Daughter within the confinements of a ministry. Led in 2013 to go to the communities. To be able to reach those kids that weren't coming inside of the church doors, to be able to provide mentorship with some spiritual coaching that's added to our curriculum as well, and to just be able to lift up the kids that are within the communities.
Nice, very nice. I applaud you, though, for taking that incentive.
Thank you.
Definitely. So we talked earlier, and you were explaining to me some of the concerns you have with these youth in these low-income communities and some of their struggles. Can you talk about that some?
The struggles that they have right now really stem from academics. Many of them struggle to read. They struggle with basic math. Many of them are hungry. And we have to face all of these barriers when we are able to go in and deal with the kids.
Okay. Do you bring in counselors to help the children deal with the mental aspect of all that they have to try to process?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. When I meet with the child and I determine that they have just different things that the parents don't really know what's going on with them, and they'll oftentimes reach out to me. I then become an advocate where I can go into the schools, meet with their teachers, their guidance counselors, and then help with the parents to set up a plan for that child. And if they need mental health, we definitely initiate referrals to mental health counselors to come alongside and to work with that youth.
So my concern is the suicide rate is steadily increasing in the African American community. And we have a lot of stigmas as far as African Americans. You know, one of the big stigmas that I hear is that, you know, I'm not crazy, so I don't need a therapist. But the truth is that we all struggle at some point with our mental health, and that could just be stress.
Absolutely.
And so I'm realizing, especially with me, because I also work with at-risk youth, so I'm aware of the issues that they have to face. But my concern with African American communities is that the suicide rate is increasing. And I'm wondering, do you ever experience any of the youth who struggle with suicidal ideations and different things based off some of the things that they have to process within the community?
Absolutely. Most recently, I had a young lady that just wasn't acting like herself. And we went through our program and were preparing to leave for the day. And I didn't say very much to her because there was a group of kids around. But as we allowed the other kids to leave, she came back in and closed the door. And when she closed the door, she immediately broke down and kind of collapsed in my arms. And I just immediately, was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she began to talk about her being bullied at school. And that she was just tired of it. She's like, I can't take this anymore.
Right.
And after I allowed her to just vent and gather her thoughts, I walked around to her apartment to have a conversation with mom, and I let mom know about the resources that are available for her and her daughter. But many of the parents, they look at bullying like we looked at bullying and growing up, name calling and things like that. But our kids are just not equipped with the level of bullying that exists amongst other kids right now.
Right.
And neither are the parents.
Right. And how do you have that discussion with parents to kind of get them to understand? Because what I'm finding, see, you can do what I can't do as a chaplain. I'm a counselor, so confidentiality is, part of my ethical guidelines.
Absolutely.
And so there's only so much I can share. But how do you really get that message across to parents so they can understand? Because a lot of time parents don't understand that bullying is a form of trauma. And children deal with trauma differently. All of us deal with trauma differently.
Absolutely.
And so having suicidal ideations or self-harming and doing different things, acting out, and parents are not understanding why they're acting out, and they don't understand that trauma affects everybody differently. How do you get this message across to parents?
By being consistent.
Okay.
When I say being consistent, if I have met with a parent about the issue and I've given them referrals or given them resources, I'll follow back up generally by the end of the day to see if they've taken advantage of the resources or if there's anything that I can do.
Very nice.
And often the piece that I play is I'll end up going to the school and becoming that advocate for that parent and having that conversation with the guidance counselor and even the teachers to let them know what's going on and how we can better address it with the kids. So just providing that wraparound service to let mom know you're not alone. You won't be ostracized for having this concern about your daughter or your son.
Right.
There won't be any retaliation.
Right.
For you going to the school to advocate for your child. It's your right.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here because you said there won't be any retaliation for just being concerned about your child at the school. Are you finding that there is some retaliation when parents do try to go in, and especially African American parents try to go in and say, hey, I have some concern with my child and what is going on in the school? Do you find that happening?
Sometimes you do, and I believe it's because of the cognitive dissonance that is present between some of the school officials and the African American community. A lot of times when we present, they think we're angry, they think we're mad or we're yelling, and helping that parent to get in a tone to be able to communicate their concern, and if they can't, I do it for them.
Very nice. Yeah. And so I like it that you deal with children of all colors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really do. I like that because our young people today really need someone to advocate for them.
Absolutely.
Because they're at a point in their lives where they're trying to express, but they really don't know how to. And sometimes their expression is not how we want them to express themselves as adults. And so sometimes they need an adult to step in and say, listen, this is what it is. Children today need someone that they can trust. Someone that they know that is going to be there for them when they need them. And that is clearly what you're doing. And so I definitely applaud you for all the work that you're doing. So is there any other concerns that you see in the community that you would like our viewers to know, or maybe give some parents advice in low-income communities of how they can assist their children? Because what I also notice is there are a lot of distorted thoughts. Because coming from a community where you don't have a lot of resources, financially, whatever, children seem to feel less than, because unfortunately that's how society makes them feel. And so there's a lot of distorted thoughts. Self-esteem is low. There's so many different areas that I can talk about. So what would you like to say to our viewers, somebody's out there listening right now, even a young person who's struggling with some things, what would you like to say to them?
So to the parents, to pay attention to their kids.
Okay.
To make sure that they have those conversations. One of the things that I talk to parents about is being at the table.
Okay.
Being present with your kids, having dinner with your kids, so you can look into their eyes and determine when they're having issues to come up. I know when we were growing up, we sat to the dinner
Yes,
table.
yes.
So mom knew when something was going on with
Right.
us. So I definitely encourage them to have those conversations. Remove the video games. The video games present a false sense of reality. I've had children that literally believe that if somebody's head gets blown off, that they can just go back to the hospital and get it sewn back on.
Oh.
I've had that conversations
Right.
with kids before,
Right.
that they've seen death, they've seen trauma. There was a shooting of a young kid in the community that was kind of in their route to school, and the kids talked about it for weeks.
Jesus.
And I encourage the school. Definitely brought in counselors, but I encourage the parents to follow up with the counseling, see if the child is still having issues as a result of what took place. So I definitely just ask the parents to be present,
Very
be
nice.
constant in the kids' lives.
Very nice. What do you say to that young lady of color who's struggling with her esteem? What do you say to her?
I say to her, it's very cliche-ish that you're beautiful. We
Yes.
like to put our hand under their chin and hold their head up, but I truly believe that we have to speak to the core of that young lady. You have to find out what are the factors that have influenced her to believe that she's not beautiful,
Yes.
and you deal with those lemon situations and help to bring forth the lemonade that needs to come
Yeah.
out of her life.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because you and I discussed this whole taking lemons and making lemonade.
Absolutely.
Explain that concept to us. What is that about?
Well, very personable for me, because I went through a very bitter situation in my life. And during that process, just being led of the Lord, he gave me the scenario of lemons, and how to make lemonade was the theme that he gave me. And basically looking at the process of the old school lemonade, not now how we can go
Right.
to the store
Right.
and pick up lemonade, but if we were going through the process of actually making lemonade from what we call scratch, each one of those are symbolic to things that we walk through in our everyday life. Going back, identifying the scrapes,
Yes.
identifying the cuts,
Yes.
identifying the wounds that were caused as a result of those cuts, and then being able to, once you identify them, you can deal with them.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we leave the cut and we never go back and examine those things that caused the cut, what led up to the cut, what did I
Very
do about the
nice.
cut,
Yeah.
you know? So those are the kind of things that I deal with the young ladies, that struggle with the fact that dad wasn't in the home, or perhaps mom wasn't in the home.
Right.
I'm being raised by a stepmom,
Right.
or I'm being raised by a grandparent.
Right.
All of those issues go into our lemonade.
I like that. I'm gonna have to use that if you don't mind. I might have to use that in some groups. I'm like, that can be a group thing. I'm like, the whole lemonade. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say that I appreciate you taking your time out to come and just talk with me today. I appreciate you sharing what it is that you do, and I just appreciate you going into the communities that need you.
Thank you.
And do what you do with our young people. One more time before I leave, though, because I want to talk to you about the African American young men. What are the concerns in the community with them?
The concerns, number one, is education, lack of positive role models, lack of true skills, low self-esteem, dealing with trauma and mental health issues, and not knowing the appropriate outlets to be able to get help.
Thank you so much for talking to me. For you therapists out there, you're in Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, you therapists out there who are in Jacksonville, Florida and want to volunteer to help out with the cause. Come on, let's rally up and help Miss Monique with Daughter to Daughter. You do accept volunteers.
We do accept volunteers.
Yes. So she's giving you her information. Monique, I thank you again for everything that you do. God bless you for your work.
Thank you.
Okay?
Absolutely. I loved
All
it.
right. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks.
Ladies, you all heard the conversation that I had with Monica from Daughter to Daughter.
Yes.
It was amazing. She's doing some great work in the community, and I appreciate her for everything that she's doing. I like that she's working with youth of all color, and she herself has concerns with African American youth as well as youth of color. And so we do have an issue, but our time is closing up and we need to get out of here.
Yep. So I just really want to stress the importance of this show coming from my perspective as an African American female. It's we have a problem within our community. So I just want to share some information in case you really think that there isn't. 13.2% of the U.S. population identifies as Black or African American. Of that, over 16% has a diagnosable mental illness in the past year, and that was listed in 2014 from the U.S. Census Bureau. That's over 6.8 million people. Now, if you really put that together, that is more people than the population of Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia combined. So you can't say that there's not a problem. However, we can do something about it. So I would encourage you to look at the resources that we have listed on our resource page so that you can seek some help should you need help.
Yeah, and it's important, you guys, if you want someone to look like you, your skin color, there are a lot of resources out there. I mean, we have counseling for African men, African American men, therapy for Black girls, and we have all of that out there, so you all reach out.
But not only that, not to cut you off, but if you look on Psychology Today, you will have therapists who don't look like you, but who will let you know, that they are
they work with
African American friendly.
Yeah, well, too, a lot of African Americans though, they want therapists who look like them. And still, Psychology Today is listed on our resource page. So go to the website. So we got to get out of here. You all, thank you for watching. We want to thank our guest, Anthony Countryman, our guest, Monique Curtis. Join us next week as we continue to shine the light from a mental health perspective. Tell us what you think. Continue talking about it. But until next week, remember, continue talking about mental health and how to make yours a priority. You all have a great one. So let's talk about the Asian culture. This is a very private culture. And so it's interesting that we would look at them. And I think sometimes a lot of people in the Western society misunderstand them. They're private culture, and they, unlike us as Americans, we push autonomy, individualism.
Yeah, that's the big thing that popped up when I knew we were gonna talk about this, and I'm really glad we are, because it's a completely different thing. They are all about not what's going to benefit me, what is going to benefit us as the family and as our culture, and not shaming or disrespecting or doing anything to even promote that you're doing it just for yourself.
Their life, like, as a woman, like, you know, this is your job. Your job is to take care of the husband, take care of the kid, and you have a good life and all that stuff. Your husband, you know, taking care of you, and basically, essentially, a lot of them are housewives. It was still considered as housewife, but nowadays we have women now starting to merge into like work life. Like, they're starting to work. They are more independent now. So that affects the whole livelihood of the culture now.
If you're looking for more information about a topic that was discussed on one of our shows, please visit intake.tv and check out our resource page.
If you're a professional who would like to be on the show, or an individual who has struggled with mental health and would like to be a guest, email us at info@intake.tv.
Follow us on all of our social media platforms.
Intake is the place to be.
It's because